Rev it. All right, turn off the engine. Hello viewers, welcome to Keith's Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a 2012 Ford Focus. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the check engine light remains on the dash while the engine is running. And the customer also stated that the vehicle died on her a couple of times. So she was driving down the road and then all of a sudden the engine shut off. So she started it again, she was able to drive, and then it died again, and after that she decided to bring the vehicle to our shop. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go in the vehicle. I'm gonna start the engine. We're gonna confirm the customer's complaint by looking at the check engine light on the dash, and then we're gonna connect the scan tool to the vehicle to see what kind of trouble codes we have in the engine computer. But before we go in the vehicle, I wanna give a shout out to our cameraman Kyler. Thanks for being here. So now let's go in the vehicle so we can confirm our customer's complaint. What? It says low battery. I just started this. The battery just died. What the heck? Awesome. Thank you, Robin. Can you get the battery charger on for me, please? That's odd. I guess she's gonna need the battery then, because the battery just died in like less than half hour. All right, so the engine is running. The check engine light is not on right now. So hopefully we have a memory code in the engine computer. I'm gonna turn off the engine. I'm gonna turn the key on. I don't know if we lost our memory in the engine computer. I hope we didn't, because I wanna see some trouble codes. But for some reason, the battery just died by itself. So I will have to test the battery on this vehicle before we give it back to the customer. So she's probably gonna need a battery. And then this vehicle has, how many miles does it have? This vehicle has 134,000 miles, 660. Okay, so let's go to our scanner here. 2012 Ford Focus with a 2.0 liter engine. Let's do a code scan. Hopefully we have a pending codes in the engine computer. Oh, right there. So we have two codes. Luckily we didn't lose our codes. The first code is P087-00, fuel rail / system pressure too low, bank 1. Oh, okay. That's good to know. This would cause the car to die, because the customer told me that the car died on her at some point. And we also have transmission codes. Jeez. The second code in the engine computer is P0480-00, fan 1 control circuit. And then we have two codes in the transmission control unit, P0702-00, transmission control system electrical. And then the second code is P0882, TCM power input signal low. ECM power input signal. Now, this code, this power input signal low code, could be caused by the battery that's dying. And then we have low voltage batteries, low voltage codes in the ABS control unit. Yeah, we have low voltage codes, battery voltage, circuit voltage below threshold. So this is gonna need a battery. We're gonna replace the battery on this. Yeah, we have low voltage codes on all these control units. And then we have the same code on the generic side of the tool, P0087, fuel rail / system pressure too low. Now, this code is very self-explanatory, and this is the code that I'm gonna focus on in this video. I believe this is what's causing the vehicle to die. So the fuel rail / system pressure too low code can be caused by low fuel pressure, and low fuel pressure can be caused by a weak fuel pump or a leak somewhere in the fuel system. I don't think we have a leak. Or we could have a partially clogged fuel filter. So we gotta do some tests to figure out why we have a low fuel pressure code. So now, why basically the pressure in the rail is low. So now let's go into the engine computer, and then we also have this fan 1 control circuit code. It says not current, so this code is probably not occurring right now. This problem is probably not occurring right now as we speak. So let's go into the engine computer. Let's look at the codes one more time. Memory codes. Okay, we have the same codes. So let's focus on the P0087. Let's look at some freeze frame data. Okay, so here's the freeze frame data for our P0087 code. So this code set at idle, so the engine speed was 687. The vehicle was in closed loop. The engine temperature was 194 degrees. Short-term fuel trim bank 1 was 54.7. Wow, that's high. And then long-term was minus 1.4%. So 54.7% on the short term and minus 1.4% on the long term. So these numbers over here tell me that we most likely have a failing pump. Okay, now this is a direct injection system. We have two pumps in this vehicle. There's one in the tank that supplies fuel to the high pressure pump, and then the high pressure pump pressurizes the fuel to a higher pressure, and then it sends it to the rail, and then the injectors get the fuel, and then they spray it in the cylinders. So we could have a low side pump that's failing, or we could have a high pressure pump that's failing, because these high fuel trim numbers, high positive fuel trim numbers, indicate a fuel delivery problem. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So now let's go to our data. I want to look at my data PIDs and see what we got here. So let's go to data display. I want to look at my fuel pressure data PIDs on the rail, and let's also see if we have a fuel pressure data PID for the low side. And then I also want to look at my fuel trim numbers. So let's go to fuel trim / O2 sensor data. So we're gonna customize this list. All right, so let's deselect all these PIDs. Let's grab our fuel system status. Let's grab our long-term and short-term. Long-term and short-term data PIDs. We don't have a PID for fuel pressure here. That's odd. Because I wanted to look at my fuel trim numbers and my fuel pressure data PID. I mean rail pressure and low side pressure if there is a sensor on the low side of the fuel system. Okay, we don't have a fuel pressure data PID here. All right, let's go to the next data group. Interesting. Actually, we haven't looked under the hood yet. I don't know if this vehicle has a pressure sensor on the rail, because if there's no pressure sensor on the rail, on the fuel rail, it's going to be hard for us. I mean, we're not going to have a data PID. Oh, right here. Fuel rail pressure desired, and then fuel rail pressure. Nice. Fuel system. Nice. Okay, we got some fuel pressure data PIDs here. Great. Low side fuel pressure, nice and desired. Okay, so this is what I wanted to see. We have a low side fuel pressure data PID and a rail pressure data PID. So that's good. So the low side fuel pressure data PID will tell us the pressure from the tank to the high pressure pump. So it's going to tell us whether the low side pressure pump is working or not, is putting out enough fuel pressure or not. That's good right there. And then I also wanted to see my fuel trim. Let me see if I can also open up this one. Oh, we can. Great. Great. Let's grab our long term. Where is short term fuel trim? Short term fuel trim is right here. Maybe let's grab our O2 sensor data PIDs as well. So now we're gonna list all these PIDs. Okay, now I'm gonna start the engine. Right now, key on, engine off. We are in, I thought I grabbed my loop status. Wait a minute. We need to get our loop status. All right, so we are in open loop. I'm gonna start the engine. So as you can hear, the engine is running. We are still in open loop. So I'm gonna graph my fuel rail pressure data PID and then my low side fuel pressure data PID. So on the low side we have 160. So it's going between 165 and 157 psi. And then on the high side, so which is the rail, after the high pressure pump, we have 350 psi. So right now everything seems fine. Actually, the check engine light is on now. We might have to take this for a spin to see what's going to happen, because right now our fuel trim numbers are fine. Everything seems fine right now. The numbers that I see right now seem okay. So let's go. I'm going to let the engine run a little bit. We're going to take this on a test drive to see if our fuel trim numbers will get better, because I want to see if, not better, but I want to see if our fuel trim numbers will get worse. Because if we have high positive fuel trim numbers, I want to see what pressures we're going to have on the low side of the fuel system and the high side of the fuel system. Because if one side drops, that will pretty much pinpoint where the issue is. Okay, so let's take a quick look under the hood, and then we're gonna go on a test drive. We are here under the hood. As you can hear, the engine is running. So I'm doing a quick visual inspection under the hood before we go on a test drive. So our fuel rail is down here. So cameraman Kyler, I don't know if you can see this little connector here, this little sensor. That's our fuel rail pressure sensor. Okay, as you can see, it's a 3-wire sensor. We have a bless you, Kyler. We have a 3-wire pressure sensor here, and that's our fuel rail over there. So everything seems pretty okay down here. All right, so I'm going to turn off our battery jumper here, or battery charger. Let's take this on a test drive and see what's going to happen. Now, she said that the car dies sometimes, so hopefully the car is not going to die on us, and hopefully we're not going to get stranded. If it dies on us, I guess Robin can come rescue us. All right, now let's go on a test drive. Before we go on a test drive, I want cameraman Kyler to show you guys the check engine light. So right there, perfect. As you can see, the check engine light is on. All right, so that's good. Now, I'm gonna be watching our data on the scan tool as we drive. So cameraman Kyler is gonna put the data up on the screen for you guys to see. So let's take this. Actually, this camera is like upside down. Look at this. I don't know if you guys can see this. The backup camera is upside down. That's weird. Look, confusing, right? What the heck? All right, so we are backing out of the shop. I'm looking at our numbers. Our numbers look good so far. Nothing out of the ordinary. But remember, when we looked at our fuel, our freeze frame data, we had over 50% on the long terms. I think it was 54%. So I mean positive 54. So that was high. Looking at this kind of messes up my, I'm kind of like, what, looking at this camera upside down, it's kind of messes me up a little. All right, so let's go for a drive. It's raining here, so I gotta be careful. Okay, so right now, as we are driving, do I have engine speed here? I should have put, okay. I'm gonna slow down here. I also wanna put engine speed on our list. Let's add our engine speed data pit here. Let me just stop here for now. Let's turn our flashers on. Okay, so I'm gonna put the desired low side fuel pressure just below the actual, so that you guys can see it. Okay, so low side fuel pressure right now is 165. It's going between 165 and 155. Desired is 84 psi on the low side, and then on the rail, so the desired is technically matching the actual pressure, so that's good. Our fuel trim numbers right now look good. So this vehicle is not, so far the vehicle doesn't have a problem. Now the engine temperature right now is 177. So maybe it's gonna act up when the engine gets up to operating temperature, when it gets hot, I guess. I mean, it's significantly hot, but maybe it needs to get hotter. All right, let's keep driving. Let's see. Now, we might have to make a separate video for the transmission code, but right now, with the fuel rail pressure code, I mean, everything seems fine right now. This is odd. I'm looking at our numbers right now on the scan tool. Everything seems fine. I don't like this. I don't like dealing with intermittent issues because it's fine right now. So guys, tell me, if you were diagnosing this, how would you go about this? What would you change? Would you change the pump in the tank? Or would you change the high pressure pump? Or would you give it back to the customer so that the customer can drive it for a little bit longer and see what's gonna happen? Because she told me it died on her Actually, the windshield is fogging. How do you turn on the defrost? I don't know. It's fine right now because I was expecting to see high positive fuel trim numbers when we drive. Now, although the code didn't set under load, maybe we have to go back at the shop and then let the vehicle idle for a little bit to see if these numbers will get worse, because that's when the code's set. So maybe driving it would not help. Guys, I thought I was gonna see something more exciting for you guys, but this is just turning into a test drive video. Man. Nah. I don't know. What's been your favorite car or your favorite project you've worked on since you've been here? Like, out of all the projects we've worked on.
The Mercedes was fun. It's the one with the leaky exhaust.
Oh, the one that's not out yet?
Yeah.
Oh, see, Kyler is talking about the video that you guys haven't even seen yet. So we have this, I'm not going to tell you guys what's wrong. You're going to have to watch the video. Kyler and I diagnosed this Mercedes, I think it was a GL350, gray Mercedes. It came from a shop out in DC. So the owner, no, actually one of the mechanics at that shop watches our videos, and they had this Mercedes that was giving them a hard time. And then the mechanic actually asked his boss if they could reach out to us so we can take a look at this Mercedes. So, and his boss said yes. So they reached out to us and they towed the vehicle to us because the vehicle was not starting. So Kyler and I diagnosed it, and we figured out the issue. We were able to start it. So you guys will have to watch the video and see. You will enjoy it. It's going to be a good one. Well, I don't know what to say. Back to this car. I don't know what to say because our numbers, our fuel trim numbers look fine. Our rail pressure looks fine. Our low side fuel pressure looks fine. Our fuel trim numbers look fine. We might have to let the car idle at the shop for a little while and see if it's going to act up. Because when the customer dropped off the vehicle, she told me, I don't want to drive this anymore because it died on me twice and I don't want to get stranded. Please fix it. I said, sure. Now it's raining and the temperature is kind of down. It's cold here. So it's 46 degrees. I wonder if it was dying because it was hot outside. Because if the outside temperature is affecting the pump's delivery, whether it's the high pressure fuel pump or the low pressure fuel pump, we may not be able to duplicate the fault. Because because the temperature it's cold out today. So it's actually getting super hot in here now. Let me get this down. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so cameraman Kyler and I worked on that Mercedes. We figured out the problem and I sent them the estimate. Anyway, so the car was not running. We did the diagnosis. It took us, I don't know, an hour or two to figure it out. We figured out the issue. I called them and then I gave them the estimate. They were like, okay, well, actually, we'll come pick it up. Now, I also don't blame them. I mean, it's a shop. So, I was like, I wanted to do the job because I wanted to see how it was going to run after we replaced the component that was faulty. But they were like, oh, we're going to come fix it. I mean, we're going to come pick it up. They told me that the customer didn't want to put a lot of money into the car, but I'm sure they were going to fix it themselves. So Anyways, I mean, they hired us to just do the diagnosis, and we diagnosed it. We told them what was wrong, so I'm sure they're gonna fix it themselves. Interesting. I'm looking at our fuel trim numbers right now. All our numbers, long-term and short-term fuel trim numbers, are within the plus or minus 10%. Okay. If it's not broken or if it's not dead, we can't fix it, I guess. Because at this point, what do? Do you just replace the pump in the tank, or do you replace the high pressure pump? I just don't want to be a parts changer and just change a bunch of parts. I would like to duplicate the fault and do some tests and figure out exactly what's going on. I might have to call her. Okay. I might have to call the customer and ask her some questions about this. Because right now, actually, when we pull into the parking lot, I'll call her. We're almost back at the shop. I'm gonna call her and ask her some questions. Trisha,
Hi.
how are you?
Good.
I'm test driving your car right now. I didn't have time to diagnose it yesterday. So
that's
I'm
fine.
doing the diagnosis today to figure out what's wrong with it.
Okay.
So when I'm doing there were some codes in the engine computer, but when I'm testing it right now, everything seems fine. Did you tell me that it died on you a couple times?
It would just it would just like stop like when I'm driving. Like it happens more like when I'm like, say I'm at a light for too long,
Uh-huh.
or when I'm waiting to turn for too long. When
Yes.
it's like it'll start sputtering and it'll stop and it'll go out.
So it would like stall on you if you're at the stoplight. I mean a red light.
Yeah, if I'm like sitting somewhere for too long, or if I leave the car on
Mm-hmm.
for too long,
Mm-hmm.
it'll just start sputtering and dies.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't happen while you're driving, only when you're like sitting still or standing at a light.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I might have to do. I might have, because I drove it. I'm just coming back from a test drive right now. It drove fine, and
Okay.
everything I'm looking right now looks fine on the scan tool, and everything else looks fine. But I might have to let it idle here at the shop to see if it's gonna act up, because it has to do that for me to figure out what's wrong.
Okay. Yeah. It is definitely when I'm like idling.
When
That's
you're
when it
idling.
does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. It kind of confirms the freeze frame that we saw. Okay, that's good. Awesome. That's all I wanted to ask you, because I'm trying to get as much information from you as possible so I can figure out what's going on.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Now, you guys will notice I did not ask her if she wants to be on camera or not. She's my niece, so, you know, even if she's not okay, she's gonna be okay. All right, so I guess we gotta let it idle. This kind of confirms the freeze frame, the numbers we saw on the freeze frame data. I don't know, should I leave the scan tool here? I mean, okay, let's just park it in front of the door here. And then we're gonna watch. Let's see if Robin is done. Okay, Robin is not done yet. All right. Yeah, we have to leave it idling, because this code set at idle, which she told us. Yeah. So to duplicate the fault, we might have to just leave it running, and hopefully it's gonna start acting up while cameraman Kyler is here, because it's also getting late. We're gonna get out of here soon, so hopefully it's gonna act up while cameraman Kyler is here, so we can catch it on camera. So we are back at the shop. I'm gonna let the vehicle idle here, and if it acts up, hopefully we're gonna pick up the camera fast enough so we can come show everybody. I'm gonna leave the scan tool here for now while the car is running, and then we'll see. So let's go hang out with Robin in the shop, and then I'll leave this over here. If something comes up, we'll bring you guys back up. All right, we got Robin working here. What are you up to, Robin?
I'm finishing this engine job, charging the AC in this car.
Charging the AC?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna come close to you because you don't have a mic. Last time the video, I can't talk. Last time the video we made, since you didn't have the mic,
Right.
so people were asking, were saying that they couldn't really hear you. So
Okay.
Yeah.
You hear me now? Yeah. So
May-
what I'm doing now, I'm just finished this motor job.
Yeah.
So I'm charging the AC now and get on the road again.
Great. So, cameraman Kyler, if you can come here and show the engine. Robin did such a wonderful job on this one because you just started it before we went on a test drive,
Yes, I
and
did.
this engine sounds good. So, good job, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
That's awesome. Yeah. So right now you're just charging the AC,
Yep.
and then you're gonna take it outside.
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Very good. Yeah. So we put an engine on this, and yeah. So this engine came from one of our local junkyards. It has, I think they said, how many miles do you remember? Like 60. I think they say 60,000 miles
Something like that.
on the engine.
Exactly. I don't remember exactly. I
Yeah.
don't remember
Yeah.
exactly
It had low miles basically. I think it was like 60 or 70,000 miles. And then, what did you do to it? Do you remember?
I just do a motor swap.
Motor swap. No, but to prep it, I know you replaced the timing belt.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you for reminding me.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The timing belt service onto it.
Yeah. So you did the timing belt, water pump. So
Yes.
so Robin replaced the timing belt because while we had it outside, I told Robin usually that's how I do it
Okay.
on engines that have timing belts.
Right.
When I if I'm installing a used engine, I always replace the timing belt.
So
Replace the timing belt, water pump,
drive
idler
belt.
pulleys,
yes, the whole 9 yards.
the whole nine yards, and then we also replace the serpentine belt.
Yes.
All the hoses also.
Yes.
Hero hoses were
Oh,
replaced.
those was a nightmare. And
Oh,
also
really?
the radiator.
And the radiator too, yeah.
Yeah.
Radiator was replaced. This surge tank was replaced. So we gave this car a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So, awesome. Well, while we were waiting for that guy to act up, actually, we went on a test drive with
Yeah.
this Ford.
Did you give me a problem?
No, it's. I was just talking to my niece earlier about it. It dies on her when she's sitting at a light.
Oh.
So it's like it stumbles and then dies.
Right.
So there was a low fuel pressure code in the engine computer,
Right.
but right now everything is fine. So
Wow.
it could be an intermittent issue. Maybe it's temperature related too. Maybe the outside temperature affects it
Right.
because it's raining and it's cold today. Right now it's fine. So and we had high positive fuel trim numbers on the long term
Right.
when we scanned it on our freeze frame, but right now our fuel trim numbers are good. So it's not acting up.
Wow. Is it a good thing like a patient see doctor they get well?
I guess.
I hope not.
Yeah, so we'll
Then
see.
within a couple of days they call back. My car's on the street again.
Oh, yeah, I know, because if it doesn't act up, I might have to give her car back. But she didn't want to drive it. She was like, I don't want to drive it. It died on me a couple of times. Please fix it.
Wow.
But if it's not acting up right now, you're like, what do you? Because it's a direct injection engine. So there's a high pressure pump and a low pressure pump. So if it's not acting up, what do you replace?
Well,
Low pressure pump or high pressure pump?
Well, I don't want to guess. If I guess it, man, I'll do the high pressure pump for right now because
Oh,
they
really?
tend to go bad.
A lot?
On a lot of those cars. But I would say you could drive it some more
Yeah.
and make sure, say, it act up on you. Say if it's possible, you could drive
Yeah.
it, put some miles on it,
Yeah.
and see the
Yeah.
reaction from it.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to drive it, and hopefully it was gonna act up on me, but it's not. Okay.
Well, you can drive like a customer. Drive it like it's stolen then.
Well, even if you drive like, I don't know. I don't want to drive it home. Like I
Oh.
could, but it's a tiny little car. I mean, come on.
Oh, I see.
I mean, if you want to drive it home, but
no, that's an hour drive for me.
there you go. I mean, anyways, well, we're gonna leave this right over here. Cameraman Kyler, thanks for being here. Actually, well, we're just gonna wait, basically, right, Kyler? We're just gonna wait. Hopefully, this car is gonna act up. If it doesn't, I mean, it's almost the end of the day. We're gonna
Yes.
be out of here soon, so we might pick it back up tomorrow and see. So, cameraman Kyler, you might have to be here tomorrow, maybe tomorrow morning. Okay. Do your thumbs up. You gotta. That was your yeah. Cameraman Kyler might have to be here tomorrow. All right, guys. So we're still here for the next 15 minutes.
Yep.
So we're gonna wait and see if this car is gonna act up. But if it doesn't, we'll bring you guys back up tomorrow, and then we're gonna let it idle again tomorrow. Hopefully, it's gonna act up. So thanks for being here. We'll bring you guys back up soon. All right, guys. We are back on this Ford Focus. About 2 weeks later, this vehicle came back to our shop. Last time we did some tests, the complaint was the vehicle dies all of a sudden. We looked at fuel trim numbers. when we were doing our test last time, everything seemed fine. We took it on a test drive, the vehicle drove fine. Now, this is my niece's vehicle. I called my niece and I told her, your car is fine. If it's not broken, I can't fix it. So you're gonna have to pick it up, drive it again, and see what happens. So she picked it up, she drove it. The vehicle drove well for the first 4 days. And after that, it died on her all of a sudden. Now, I asked her a question to see if the vehicle was dying when it was hot outside. She told me when the vehicle died, that day it was raining. So, needless to say, I told her to bring it back. She brought the vehicle back to the shop. Now here we are. When she dropped off the vehicle, I test drove it. The vehicle drives well. It has power. Everything seems fine. But every once in a while, it dies. Now, remember before we had a pressure code. I think it was a fuel rail pressure sensor code in the engine computer. Now the question is, should we replace the high pressure fuel pump, or is it the low pressure fuel pump in the tank that's failing? Because we could have a low pressure fuel pump in the tank that's not supplying enough fuel to the high pressure fuel pump, and that can cause the fuel pressure in the rail to be lower than normal. Now, I looked off camera to see if there's a TSB about this code. Unfortunately, there was no TSBs. So now what I'm gonna do is, before I roll the dice, I wanna do some basic tests first to figure out what's going on. I am going to connect a pressure gauge to the line that comes from the fuel pump, from the tank, and then we're gonna start the engine to see what pressure we have there. Because if the low pressure pump or the low side pump, if the low side pump is supplying enough fuel to the high pressure pump, the high pressure pump should work fine. So if we have enough fuel pressure going to the high pressure pump, at that point I will feel comfortable replacing the high pressure fuel pump. So now what I want to do is, based on the test that we did last time, although the fuel trim numbers were fine last time, let's do a quick pressure test under the hood and see what we're going to find. So I'm going to grab my pressure gauge. I have my pressure gauge here. Let's connect it to our fuel system. And then before we continue, I would like to acknowledge the man behind the camera, our famous cameraman, Kyler. Kyler doesn't believe that there are people here that show up to come and say hello and look for him. You're famous, Kyler. When I tell him he's famous, he doesn't believe me. Anyways, so now let's connect our pressure gauge to our fuel system. So I'm gonna disconnect this line. Okay, this is the line that supplies fuel to the high pressure fuel pump. Okay. Okay, now red flag, as I disconnected this, there wasn't fuel coming out. There should be a lot of fuel coming out when you disconnect this line. Now, what I want to do now is I want to connect this line here, and then this line, I would like to connect it. Let me see how I can do this. Figure out the best way to connect this sucker. I'm bending it. I don't want to bend this plastic line. Perfect. Right there. Come on. It's a little bent. I don't want this to be bent. Okay. Maybe like that. And then we're going to connect this over here. Okay. Very nice. Now, I did look up our fuel pressure spec on this system. The pressure spec is between 55 and 73, I think it was. I think it was between 55 and 76, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we can look it up to double check, but our fuel pressure should be over 55 when we turn the key on. So now, if we're gonna ask our friend Robin here to turn the key for us, Robin, if you can turn the key for us, we have our, hold on, let me get my glasses on first. Safety first. Let me wear some glasses because this thing can leak and I don't want cameraman Kyler is smiling. You don't like my glasses? All right, so go ahead and turn the key on. The fob should be in there. Yeah, there. Key on? Oh, I see a problem. So key is on. We're only showing 13, that's 28 psi. Turn the key off. Turn the key on. Oh, went up again. Okay, so right now our pressure went up. Now start the engine. So when you first start the engine, the pressure goes up to about 70 psi, but now it drops down. Yeah. So we have low pressure in the system. Rev up the engine. Rev it up. Now the fact that the gauge is dropping below 30 psi, this indicates a weak pump or a leaking pressure regulator in the tank. Rev it. Rev it. Rev it. All right, turn off the engine. So lower than normal fuel pressure. Now turn the key on again. Okay, so with the key on, now pressure is going up to 60 psi, so that's good. Start it. Yeah, pressure is low. Rev it. Rev it. All right, turn off the engine. All right, so we're done. Our high pressure fuel pump is not getting enough fuel pressure from the low side fuel pump. So the fuel pump in the tank is not supplying enough fuel volume and fuel pressure to the high pressure fuel pump. So the high pressure fuel pump cannot produce enough fuel pressure for the rail. So that's why we have a low pressure code in the engine computer. So it's not a high pressure fuel pump, it's a low pressure fuel pump. Now, this could be caused by the pump itself or a leaking regulator in the fuel sending unit assembly in the tank. So now what I want to do is I want to check the wiring of the pump. If the wiring of the pump is good, I'm going to recommend replacing the whole fuel pump sending unit. I don't believe in just changing the regulator or trying to figure out if the regulator is bleeding fuel back into the tank. I don't do that stuff. If the regulator is bad, I'm replacing the entire unit. If the pump is bad, I'm replacing the entire fuel sending unit. So I believe we can access the fuel pump from under the seat in the back. We're gonna remove that and then we're gonna check the pump wiring and then we'll go from there. So let's go to the back of the vehicle and check the fuel pump's wiring. As we were getting ready to walk to the back of the vehicle and access the fuel sending unit, our new sending unit from Napa just showed up. Here's the part number. Now, my niece already gave me the go-ahead to fix her vehicle. She told me, Uncle Dio, whatever you find, please fix it for me. Now, like I told you earlier, I don't like trying to figure out if it's a regulator or the pump. I'm gonna get the whole sending unit. I'm gonna open this box so I can show you why I like to do that. And then we're still gonna check the wiring of that pump, because if we have a voltage drop on the fuel pump wiring, the pump can produce less fuel pressure. So here's the pump assembly. Here's the O-ring of it. Now, let me get this out of the bag. Let's get this. So here is our fuel pump sending unit. Now over here, this is the regulator. See this piece over here? This is the fuel pressure regulator. Now there's a possibility that the regulator is leaking internally. You know, I know some people sometimes just replace the regulator or try to figure out if the pump is good, then you just change the regulator. But if the regulator is bad, the pump will most likely go bad eventually. So I always like to replace the whole unit, whole sending unit. Okay, so that way you don't have to worry about the pump itself, the filter. Okay, so we're replacing the entire assembly. Now, let's go to the vehicle, to the back of the vehicle, so we can test the wiring of the pump. If the wiring checks out okay, then we're gonna go ahead and install this new pump. So now let's do that. All right, so we lifted up the bottom cushion part of the seat. Unfortunately, we cannot access the fuel pump from back here, so the fuel tank has to be dropped. We gotta remove the fuel tank so we can remove the pump. So we're gonna lift up the vehicle. Hopefully we can get access to the wires from underneath, because I wanted to check the wires first before we replace the pump. But if we can't access the wires, we're just gonna have to drop the tank. So now let's lift up the vehicle. After taking a better look at this, we realized that checking the fuel pump wiring will be a lot easier to do from up here. Although we have to drop the tank, but we can access the fuel pump wiring from this little rubber grommet over here. So these two heavy gauge wires that you see over here are our fuel pump wires. This black wire with the blue tracer, and then the yellow wire with orange tracer. So I'm gonna use my piercing tool. We're gonna use this piercing tool over here so we can make contact with the wire strands on this wire. So that would allow us to tap into the fuel pump circuit. Now, as I'm using these piercing tools, at the end, I'm gonna use some liquid tape to seal the holes that I'm making here. Okay, now we're gonna use this headlight bulb. We're gonna connect it to the circuit here. Okay, and then we're gonna start the engine. If our fuel pump is getting good power and good ground, this light will turn on when the engine starts. Okay, now if we have a voltage drop problem in the fuel pump circuit, this light bulb will be dim. So I'm looking for brightness on this bulb. If this bulb is bright, that will tell me that our power and ground to the pump is good. So we have Robin on the driver's seat. So Robin's gonna start it for us. Yeah, go ahead, start the engine. Okay, so right there, as you can see, our headlight bulb is bright. Turn it off. Turn the key on, just key on, right there. Okay, so the system is priming the fuel system. I mean, the computer is turning on the pump to prime the system. Start it again. Yeah, see how bright this light is. Yeah, this is good. Turn it off. All right, so we're done. Based on how bright this bulb is getting, I can tell that we don't have a voltage drop problem in the fuel pump circuit. The wiring is good. So at this point, I feel comfortable replacing the pump. We don't have to check the pump relay or pump fuse. All of that is good. So Robin is going to drop the fuel tank for us. Once the fuel tank is dropped, we will bring you guys back up so that we can show you how we're going to install the new pump, and then we will do the rest off camera. So Robin, you up? All right. So Robin's got the fuel tank down. I'm going to hold this. Go ahead.
I need a longer screwdriver.
You need a breaker bar?
Yeah,
This thing is tight.
ready?
Yep. Nice. Ooh. All right. Cool. Now, some people say, "Oh, you can just check the fuel pressure regulator and see if the regulator is leaking inside." But I don't like to do that. You think it's worth it?
No, it's too much work.
Yeah, if you're gonna do all this work, you might as well replace the whole thing, right?
Yep. put a new pump in there and keep it moving.
All right.
Get a seal.
So, how does the inside of the tank look? Does it look clean? Yeah.
Yep, it's empty. That's a good sign for us.
Kylo, can you see the
Can
inside?
you see it there?
Does it look clean? Perfect. Let's wipe down the seal seat there. And then let's put a new seal on.
Hold on a second.
So we're gonna install the new fuel sending unit. And after that, this is gonna be good to go. Right, Robin?
Yes, sir. Have a happy customer. No more.
We're gonna have another happy
Shut up,
customer.
car.
Yeah,
She's
she's
brand new gasket.
she's gonna be happy. All right, nice. Let me make sure this float is fine. Okay, perfect. We're gonna go this way. All right, so I'm gonna hold this down. You can put your ring back on. No,
Yes.
no, like this. Yeah, because I marked this over here.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. So we're gonna do the reverse process of the removal process. We got the ring lined up. And then it's gonna go right here. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Use the long one. Yeah. Almost.
Hold it tight.
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Perfect. All right, so we have installed our brand new fuel pump assembly. So we're gonna put it back together. After we put everything back together, we will bring you guys back up so we can verify our repair. I'm sure after we install this, our fuel pressure is gonna be back up to spec, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll bring you guys back up after we put this tank back on. All right, guys, Robin is done putting the fuel tank back on the vehicle. We replaced the fuel pump assembly. So now we're gonna start the engine. Remember before, our fuel pressure was at about 30 psi while the engine was running. So if we made the right call, now our fuel pressure should get better. So Robin is in the car. Robin, if you can go ahead and start the engine for us. Check that out. Can you tell the difference? Cameraman Carlo, what do you think? It's fixed?
Oh, yeah.
Now, although I don't like how the gauge is oscillating like this, but at least we have higher pressure than we had before. Rev up the engine. Rev it. All right. As you can see, we went from 30 psi to like 54 or 55 psi at idle right now. So that's good. Turn off the engine. So based on what we see over here, actually hold on. Start it one more time. Oh, actually the initial surge went up to about 90 psi. Watch this. Turn off the engine. Turn the key on. Okay, we went to 70 psi. Start the engine. You see that? The initial surge went up to about 90 psi, and then we came down to about 55 psi. Rev up the engine. All right. That's good. Turn it off. We're gonna have another happy customer. My niece is gonna be happy. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, actually I can do this on camera. Let's bleed this off. Oops. We're gonna bleed off the pressure, and then I'm gonna disconnect this line. See how much pressure is coming out? This is what we were supposed to see. Thank you, Robin. We're gonna disconnect this.
I'll take this.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm gonna route our fuel line back over here, just like that. And then there's this little lock that goes here, just like that. And then this piece, this insulation, bless you cameraman Kyler, this insulation is gonna go here, and then, all right. Now, based on the pressure and everything, I can tell this is fixed. Should we go on a test drive?
Yes.
Yes?
Need gas.
It needs gas?
Yes, it does.
It doesn't have enough gas?
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
Seriously, lights on. I remember the tank was pretty low.
The light is on?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess we won't take it on the test drive then. I mean, I can put gas for her. If I was a good uncle, I could have put gas.
Yes, you are.
Maybe I can, I don't know. Should we film it? No. We gotta move on to the next project. So, guys, we're gonna leave it right there. You guys saw the issue was low fuel pressure. We replaced the pump. Now our fuel pressure went up to 55 PSI. We're good to go. I can guarantee you, okay? We're not gonna take it on a test drive. I can guarantee you that this is gonna be fixed. Take my word for it, okay? So, I'm gonna leave this right over here. I hope you like the video. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumb down. But if you do, tell us why so we can make better videos in the future. Actually, I'm gonna clear the code because there was a code in the engine computer. I'm gonna clear that code and then this will be good to go. So, thanks for being here. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our man behind the camera, cameraman Kyler, thanks for being here. Robin,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
You're welcome.
See you guys next time.